This video is a full guide for the Retro Achievement set on Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy.
If you're looking for a new badge to claim and don't mind just a little challenge, this is a great choice. It is short, but it's a quality game with smooth controls, great music, and good level of difficulty. The achievements on this one also really enhance the gameplay experience.
Nice.
So let's take a look over the set in detail. There are 35 achievements here worth a total of 336 points. The first 10 are completion-based achievements. You get these by completing the game on normal and extra game. There's also 10 damageless achievements, one for each of the 5 boss fights on both difficulties. This is where most of the challenge from this set comes in. But the next section will go over each of the boss fights in detail and set you up with the best strategies. There is one deathless achievement that requires you to beat the entire game from start to finish. You'll be completing 10 collecting achievements. This includes looking for power-ups and hidden one-ups. Technically, you can consider some of these achievements to be missable, but I wouldn't worry too much about that because the game's really short, and you'll most likely do a few playthroughs anyway to get all the damageless and the deathless done. And there's 2 mastery challenge achievements. One involves a speedrun type of challenge and a second to do a high score. And the last 2 are extra achievements, or kind of like Easter eggs. They both involve going into the menus to unlock. So overall, a good mix of achievements here. You'll get your variety of damageless and deathless and speedruns, but there's nothing too unfair or grindy to worry about. Okay, so let's put together a strategy that'll help you collect every achievement in the fewest amount of playthroughs. First we'll look into where to go to complete the levels and where to collect all the items. Then we'll get into more in-depth strategies on how to take down each of the bosses damageless. I guess it is possible to do it in 2 playthroughs, one for each difficulty, but I'd say just leave the deathless for its own run. That way you can practice all the boss fights first, collect all the achievements, then go back from the beginning and beat the whole game deathless, no problem. Especially after you've mastered the extra game setting. Shouldn't have any trouble on stage 1. There's nothing special to collect here, but you should start earning as many points as you can for the 100,000 point achievement. So just fight all the enemies you see, try not to skip over anything. It should fall right into place for you somewhere along the 4th stage as long as you're not skipping too much. Okay, there's lots to do here on stage 2. So much in fact that you can't do it in one single play. First let's focus on all the item locations. We'll have to find all 5 of the pep brews. Here's a quick route you can follow to collect all the items. You'll find the microphone right away in the second room, and a bomb right after that in the next room. But make sure you enter the door up top first and collect the 2 pep brews. After that, go back out through the middle door, through the hallway, then you'll find a pep brew in the middle of the room that's filled with water. That'll be number 3 out of 5. Exiting that room takes you to a tower area. You can climb that to find the first lollipop. Then you'll loop back to the hallway and head to the mini-boss. Once the mini-boss is clear, you'll spawn in this room. Make sure you take the door at the top of the room first. Take the pep brew and the curry in this room. Don't worry about trying to complete the curry challenge right now because you won't be able to get the 5th pep brew if you do that. Just exit down to the bottom right, into the next door, through the next room, and pick up that last pep brew on your way up to fight the boss. And remember, you have to collect all 5 of the pep brews without dying. Now that you've collected everything on stage 2, you can focus on the curry run next time. To do this, you'll have to eat the spicy curry and then run all the way to the boss before the timer expires. Just a little bit tricky to get down, but the steps are easy to learn. The only trouble here is you'll have to get all the way back to stage 2 if you fail it. Remember, the curry is found right after the mini-boss at the top door. Basically what you want to do is inhale the item as you're floating back down to the floor to the exit. This way you reduce the amount of time you waste in this room. After that, it comes down to just memorizing the map and knowing where all the exits are. If you're keeping up your time, it should work out just right that you can slide right by the spiky Gordo. Okay, now on stage 3 we'll be hunting down some hidden 1-ups. Start by making your way safely across the first screen and into the cave. When you get in the cave, go down, climb back up, and head to where the blocks are stacked up on the top right. You'll find a door hidden underneath these blocks that take you to the 1-up. After you get it, you'll exit back into the cave and then you can head back down. You'll find the exit to the cave on the bottom right. Taking this door will put you on a ship where the other 1-up is hidden behind another block. Just keep heading forward till you see the stack of blocks with the 1 single star block on the bottom. Move that out of the way and enter the door that's hidden underneath. And that's all there is to collect on stage 3. Don't forget to fight all the enemies you see to stack up your points. You should be getting close by this point. And when you get to stage 4, you'll be doing more of the same. You'll be looking for 4 1-ups this time. These are a little trickier to find, but I'll show you exactly where. There's nothing to find on the first half of the stage, so just keep playing through until you get to the vertically scrolling section. Climb up midway through the clouds here and head to the left, then press up to enter the first secret room. Fly over to the right and find the 1-up sitting on the pillar. After you beat the mini-boss, keep going through the stage until you get to the long bridge full of the star blocks. There's actually a false wall or ceiling here that you can go through and then backtrack to the left. Fly over to the pillars and jump next to them. If you do it right, you'll trigger a 1-up to fall from the sky. Grab that one, then head back to the right and exit the room. This will put you in the final room of the stage where you can fly up to the last secret exit. Head all the way to the top of this room and look for the moon. Position Kirby right on the moon and enter it like a door. This will enter you into a freefall bonus room. You'll float down right next to the last two 1-ups. The first one will pass on the left and the second on the right. You'll have to collect both of them to get the achievement, so just watch where they come from and line yourself up ahead of time. If you did that right, you should have all the collection achievements done with at this point, and pretty good progress on the set so far.
You guys are doing good!
But now let's look at tackling the real challenge of the set and going into the boss fights. Alright, now that you've navigated your way through all the levels and finished the collection achievements, you're ready to face all the bosses. Some of these you may have even finished already on your first time through, but let's take a look at each of the boss fights in detail and see what you need to do to finish this damage list. We'll start with the original forms first and then move on to the New Game Plus. One helpful thing to know is that you can do any of the boss fights during the boss rush of Stage 5. This way you can quickly repeat any fight that you're stuck on. It's also very quick to get right back to the boss fight in this method. The first boss you'll face is Wispy Woods. There are two phases during this boss fight, the falling apple phase and the attack phase. Tuck yourself into the base of the tree to avoid his attacks, then collect the apples as they fall and spit them back. On the New Game Plus version of Wispy Woods, you'll have to avoid the spiky Gordos that fall with the apples. Also remember to try to stay close to the base of the tree so you can avoid his attacks. It seemed to work best for me to just jump over the Gordo after their first bounce and then go for an apple. Remember, there's no timer here, so try to play patient and wait for the best time to strike. Don't force your way over to grab an apple if you don't need to. Next up on Stage 2, you'll face Low 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 and La La La. Not too much planning required for the first version of this fight because these enemies move pretty slow. You can just jump up ahead of them, grab the box, and throw it right back. You'll need to make 3 hits on each of the bosses to win this fight. But the safer strategy is to approach from the bottom level and bring the box down to you. Then you can jump up with the box and shoot it towards the enemy's back. When you face them again on New Game Plus, you'll have to move much quicker. Remember that there's no timer on the boss fights, so don't force any attacks that you don't have to. Take your time and just play it safe and focus on grabbing the box from the level below. These bosses don't really have an attack, they just run forward. So just stay out of their way and time your attacks. With some luck on the spawning RNG and a little bit of slick maneuvering, you'll have this one done no problem. However, Stage 3's boss, Kabula, is a little bit trickier. You'll have to move quickly to dodge all the attacks here. He really only does 3 main attacks. It'll shoot the cannonball straight at you or in a 3-way spread. And in between cannonballs, it'll do a charge attack. You can get a couple free hits in right before the fight starts, which could turn out to help a lot because this boss is kind of tanky. I think it takes somewhere around 30 hits to knock him out. So just keep firing and position yourself far enough away so you can dodge those shots. Pay attention for when he starts to spin because that's when he's about to charge. Just dodge this by moving vertically away from where you were. He'll pause for a second and then go right back into shooting. The real challenge lies in the New Game Plus version of the Kabula. It does the same attacks, but this version of the boss will move and shoot faster than you. The best way I found to deal with this boss was to sort of mirror the opposite of his pattern. When the boss is moving up, move back down away from it. Fire some shots as you move down and some will connect in the middle as you pass each other. Do the same thing as you move back up to get away from him. You'll start to feel the rhythm with it as you get used to it. You'll still have to be dodging some of the multi-shots, but in general this keeps you out of the way of his damage. Just keep moving with the pattern and eventually you'll send enough damage across the middle to finish him off. Now let's take on Stage 4's boss, Krako. It's actually a much easier fight than Stage 3. In fact, I think the normal version of this boss is even harder than the New Game Plus. There are 3 moves to watch out for here. a diving attack, a fire attack, and it'll also send in some waddle-doos at you. Just scoop those up and send them right back at it. However, you shouldn't immediately rush in to pick up the waddle-doo. Sometimes it baits with a dive attack right after spawning one. You'll know a dive attack is coming when you see Krako make a short little bounce. To avoid it, just hide in the opposite corner of the arena. And after it passes over your head, get out of the corner and run to the other side to avoid the fire attack. Just focus on dodging first and only attack when it's safe, and you'll get this one. The New Game Plus version of Krako has all the basic moves, but it's a little bit different on each one. The dive attack comes from the center of the screen and goes diagonally down to the corner. The flame is a huge wave of flame from the middle of the map, and it will drop in a few bombs instead of waddle-doos this time. I find this version of the boss to be easier because you can place yourself in the corner and just wait. When you see it start to bounce for its dive attack, all you have to do is jump over it. The timing of this jump can be a little bit tricky because the boss moves so fast, but if you master it, you'll be able to do the fight damageless no problem because there's no other attack that can hit you. Standing in this corner will keep you out of range of the fire attack, and when the bombs drop, they'll be just out of range as well, but still close enough to grab and shoot back. Now for the final boss, King DDD. If you've done well to unlock everything so far, then this version of the boss won't be too hard for you. There's a wide range of attacks he can do, so it can be tricky to learn his patterns at first. You can also only damage him after he spawns a star. Only a couple of his attacks will produce stars, so you'll have to spend a fair amount of time just dodging. You'll see him do some charge attacks where he'll run straight at you and slide on the floor. He'll do a jumping attack and end up spawning 2 stars after that one. There's a hammer attack where he'll run towards you and slam the ground with the hammer. That also produces a star. Those are the only 2 ways to get stars from the fight. Be very careful about getting too close to King DDD even after you attacked him because sometimes he'll do his vacuum attack and suck you right in. I found I had the most trouble fighting this boss when I was flying. Anytime I ended up flying or floating in the air for too long, I would end up taking damage. He'll even try to do a jumping hammer attack if you end up flying too long. You can't collect any stars while you're flying either, so just try to avoid it in this fight. If you have to, at times you can hover towards the middle of the map, but try to land as soon as you can. You'll need to really tighten up your movement before you face the New Game Plus version. Generally all the moves are the same on this fight, but the speed is greatly increased. And the recovery times between his attacks are really short, so be careful because he'll immediately start attacking you again. Try to inhale the stars before they even spawn, then immediately shoot them right back at him and get out of the way. If you don't back off right after you shoot the star, you might get caught with the inhale attack. Remember to minimize the time that you spend floating in the air. You won't have enough recovery time to land and escape his attacks. Just jumping over him is enough to avoid him. And as before, also remember there's no timer, so you don't need to force attacks. If you can't grab the star, just let it go. Focus your efforts on dodging and find that rhythm of his attack. This is the longest fight in the game, but with enough discipline, you'll get him. And once you do, if you've done everything else before this, there's not much left to finish. You probably already collected the 100,000 point challenge. If you didn't attempt the Deathless achievement yet, now is the perfect time to do it. After mastering all the boss fights on New Game Plus, you'll have no trouble making your way through the normal game. And by this point you know all the stages, so you're well prepared to finish this one off. And once that's done, that should leave you with just the final 2 achievements to grab. Let's clean these last 2 up really quick. We need to get into the sound test menu and we need to watch Kirby's secret dance. To get into the sound test menu, we need to be on the title screen, and then you need to press down, B, and select. This should bring you into the configuration menu. From here you can select the sound test. After you're done with the sound test menu, you can start a new game. If you haven't gotten the Kirby dance yet, all you have to do is push pause. After waiting a long enough time, you'll see Kirby start to do a dance. After you watch him finish the whole dance, you'll get the achievement. And if you save this one for last, it'll be a perfect finale. Kirby will be dancing for you as your badge is awarded to you. Hey, and great job on mastering the set.
and good luck on your next one.